Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new episode of Project LS400. Finally, it's been about 2 months I think since I last done some work on the car. As you can see, I'm currently in my workshop where I restore the car, but I don't have access through the garage door anymore, so I can't get a car in and out. The LS400 has been parked at my brother's-in-law farmhouse, but unfortunately it had to sit outside for the last couple of months and maybe for the coming couple of weeks. Reason being, my brother-in-law has some construction work going on and the construction workers want a roof over the head. I don't blame them, I don't blame my brother-in-law, but the Lexus has been sitting outside, and since we had record rainfall, the moisture problem in the LS has gotten a little bit worse, and that's something I really need to address. Only thing is, I've been crazy busy and I did not have time to go to work on the car. Just last week, just before I suspended it from road taxes, I went to the car, drove to the car wash and gave it a good cleaning. It was nice and sunny weather, so it made sense to wash the car. But when I drove it back to my brother-in-law's farmhouse, I put the sun visor down and I felt it was completely moist. And the headliner, especially in the top of the left corner on the driver's side of the headliner of the car, was completely moist, and it seems there is somewhat of a leak around the top of the window edge, and that's the last thing I worked on this summer. So I need to do a quick fix, but also I have 3 other things planned. One thing, I want to take the driver's seat out because I noticed that the reclining mechanism, the electric recliner, doesn't work anymore. It works on the left hand side, but on the side of the center console it doesn't want to move tilt anymore, so the seat, I'm moving like in this direction or I'm moving in that direction, so I need to fix that. Also, I have ordered a new LCD display for the climate control panel. It may take a couple of days or even weeks before it arrives at my house, but I want to take the climate control panel out, and also I want to take the radio out because I noticed that the illumination isn't completely working. So it's early Sunday morning at this moment, so I headed to the workshop. I brought some other things because I noticed the battery is slowly draining. I want to connect it to the battery charger, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take some tools and then we'll head over to the farmhouse, take the seat out, take the radio and the climate control panel out, and put some duct tape on the window, on the front windscreen. So let's go! Well folks, this is how and where the car's been sitting for the last couple of weeks. It's good to see that the wax coating, the Carnauba wax, is holding up really well. The water beads off nicely. Only thing is, there are some small rust specks on the brake caliper, and I think I may have hit it while I was putting the wheels on. So that's something I need to address after the winter. The first thing I want to do is hook up the battery charger. So let's see if the charger kicks on. Yes, charging. I need this power because I have to roll the seat back and forth a couple of times, and when I do it one time too often I may drain the battery. So that's in, that's charging, that's looking good. Just get rid of those leaves here, I don't like that. I count myself lucky for having working gas struts during the period I worked on the engine in the very beginning of this project. Alrighty, so let's head over to the interior and start taking the radio and the climate control panel out. Okay, this may be a bit hard to record, but let's hop inside. And if you have a peek at the headliner, yeah, it's a bit, the sunlight is coming through the front windscreen, but if you look over here, I'm not sure if the camera picks it up, but it's completely moist in this corner, and especially in this front corner over here. When I push it, you can see water droplets forming, so that's not good. Now if you go to the outside, I'm not sure, I can't remember, but I'm gonna have a look in a second if there are any mounting screws for a roof rack or anything. I don't think that's the case, but I'll have to look into that. But anyway, first thing I want to do is take out this panel because it suffers from LCD bleed. I showed you that before. And I want to take the radio out because part of the illumination on this side isn't working. So that's the first order of business. Oh boy, my floor mat is getting extremely dirty. Don't like that. So I'll wipe a bit of this moisture off. Okay, what we need to do is take this panel out that surrounds the gear shift lever. Then we have to pop out this panel with the ashtray. There are some connectors behind here. And then we should have access to this over here. So this is fairly simple. You can pull this out. Now I'm wearing gloves because my fingers are getting numb. Right boy. There it is. You have to be very careful, then you can pull this off. It slides in on the front and it's clipped in from the back. So you pull it up from the back and then you slide it out. Okay, let's put a car on the brake for a second. Now I should be able to pull this panel out. There it is. It's very simple. And I use a small screwdriver to push on the connector on the top to unlock it on both sides. And there's one main connector on the back for the ashtray illumination. So this goes neatly on the floor. Okie dokie. Now I think we can pull this out. Now there is a connector on the back here for the hazard lights. There it is. So that's that panel out. Now it's just a matter of taking those screws out. And there are screws. Well, let me pick you up so I can show you. Look, there are screws, 2 on the top there, and down here in the back there's one, and there's the other one. So I'm gonna unscrew those. Okay, there's one clip from the ashtray panel. This comes out as one part. Okay, now let me get you up close once more. Bit cramped in here. There's a bracket holding both the panel and the radio together. You have to make sure that these front panels are nicely aligned. And there's this folding clip on the back that you can fold up. It's a bit hard to do with one hand, so I'm not going to do that. And on the back there are the connectors for the radio, quite a bunch. So it's a matter of taking them off, and then I can take this unit out. I'm going to use a large screwdriver and gently pry this up. And now they slide out. Basically what this bracket does is pull the plugs in, you slide them in, and then it holds onto a little tab in here, slide it down, and then it comes out. And there are 4 connectors plus the antenna on the radio back. And also I realized that the radio has very poor FM reception, and maybe I'll put in an antenna signal amplifier. That may be an idea too to do while we're at it. And that's the last connector out. And there we have it, the entire radio climate control panel assembly. It's a bit rusty on the back. When I drove the car last week, I noticed there was some condensation even behind this screen. So yeah, really need to address this moisture issue. Gonna put this away. And just out of curiosity, I'll have a peek. Oh yeah, there are brackets behind here. I think this car has had a moisture issue for a longer period of time. I've mentioned this many times before, but I'm not sure what the cause of this leak is. It's somewhere in the front of this windscreen. Yeah, and when I addressed the rust on the roof skin, where it meets the front windscreen, yeah, I mentioned this window has been replaced, but they somehow made a mistake. Let me feel. That's dry, that's dry. It's just over here on this side, and this corner on the driver's side where all the moisture is. But anyway, I'm gonna ask my brother-in-law, he just came up, ask when I can put a car inside. Okay, next order of business is the driver's seat. Now let me demonstrate. When I recline it back, only this part moves and this part stays put. So I'm gonna grab my tools and slide the seat forward, and then hopefully we can get it out. It's a heavy beast, so I hope we can get it out without damaging the sill too much. Oh yeah, I need to address that too. Those clips are letting loose. Let's make the seat as compact as possible. It's the headrest in. Slide it up all the way. These are those small covers that go over the bolts. They feel a bit moist, but seat is now completely unbolted. I should be able to tilt it back and loosen this connector. I have to be very careful with the lower seat rails because I can scratch the sill quite easily. I think this is a 40-50 kilo seat. Alrighty, well, that's one LS 400 strip from its entertainment system and its driver's seat. Let me feel, yeah, it's moist over here too. Well, that's the seat in the back of our Prius. So let's head over to the workshop and start fixing things. So just about when I wanted to drive home, I spoke to my brother-in-law and he told me, well, those construction guys won't be coming anytime soon, so feel free to put your car inside. So that's what I did. I'm very happy with this situation. The battery charger is hooked up, and well, now I'm gonna wait till the car is dry. It's a bit wet from rain. Dry it off and put it on the covers, and well, now I'm going home to work on the seat and on the climate control and the radio. Alrighty folks, let's start the repairs, beginning with the radio. The LCD screen is due for delivery next week, so I'm not sure right now if I'm gonna cover that in this episode. What I am going to do is start working on the illumination of the radio. I ordered some new microbulbs. I saw I was out of stock, so let's start by taking this bracket off so we can take the radio off. So here is the climate control panel off. I'm not sure if it shows well on camera, but these screens are pretty black once they get warmer. I do have the heater on and it's 18 degrees Celsius at this moment in here, but this is quite cold. When it gets warmer with the background illumination they clear up, but this phenomenon is called LCD bleed, and yeah, I want to fix this. So take out the brackets from the radio. There it is. Oh, it was sticking a little bit on this foam tape. Now, I've done this once before, but I forgot how to. I do know that we have to take the knobs off. Let's see if I can pull those off. Ribbon cable. And Now most of the front panel should be coming off. So, alrighty, let's put this aside. So now we need to unscrew the front, and it's the illumination. Actually, there's only one that's broken, this part of the panel, so I want to see if I can install new bulbs in this section over here. Put this aside, and now I think that the entire panel can come off, and it does. And apparently someone forgot to tighten the volume button in place. I'm just gonna take a picture of the position of the buttons so I can put them back in the exact right place, because I tend to forget this order. So I have the front panel clean and all the buttons. It's quite a therapeutic job, it's fun to do. Now if you look up close, and I hope the camera picks this up, there is a light haze on the transparent part, and it looks like there's some kind of residue on the outside, and I cannot get it off with a glass cleaner. Let me see if the camera can, in this section over here, you can see it, that there is some residue. I'm not sure what caused that, but I will try now get some glass polish and use a cotton tip applicator and try to polish both those transparent parts for the screens.
Graag bij hebben. Aan de rand van de Duitse grens in Overdinkel, vlakbij Enschede.
It's the following day and I'm waiting for the microbulbs to fix the radio. So this evening I thought, let's try to fix the driver's seat. And I have it upside down on a saw table, and I have the headrest supported with an empty jerry can so it doesn't tip over to this side. And I already went ahead and took the back panel off and destroyed it a little bit in the process, so I had to epoxy glue a part back on. This plastic back cover is held in place with two hooks that slide in here, and then there are two small screws going in there, and there's a lot of these fabric ends that are sewn to the leather, holding the material in place with tiny clips like we have over here. I want to get this out of the way, hope it helps. There's, yeah, and it does. So we have a little more view on this axle over here, and there seems to be a plastic tube. Yeah, that's plastic. Okay, I made some progress. First thing I did is remove all the connectors and cables from here, so I had a little more access in this upper corner over here. Now, as you can see, there are these alignment marks if the camera wants to focus. So left and right position can be exactly aligned. There are blue ones on the left hand side, and on the center side there is a pink, sorry guys, where are you? There is a pink and white mark, and also on the outer side, on the axle, there are some alignment marks, as you can see, and same goes for this side over here. There you are. What I did, I back probed the connector for the seat adjuster, the seat back adjuster, and the thick red and the thick green cable power the motor, and the other three wires you see over there are for the position sensor. Now what's going on is that this is the axle that connects the motor side to the center side, this side, and there are splines in here. This rotates, the axle rotates, and the splines stay stationary. I don't have my camera stand at hand, but let me try to show you. Uno momento, folks. Okay, I think I fixed it. Let's give it the test one more time. Red to plus and black to minus should go forward. How about that? That's better. Let me pick you up, show you what's been done. So that spline part, let me switch my camera light on. This spline part, just let me get something to point with. Just over there, this is an aluminium tube and it appears to have slid back. So what I did, I pulled it back over the spline and made sure that the marks were aligned, and now everything seems to be in order. Look at the lines over here, the alignment marks, and the ones on there. Well, they're not completely aligned, but when I look from the seat back down to the bottom, it looks quite good to me. So I think I'll leave it this way. And there you have it. The seat is completely back together. The plastic seat back is on. And looks, there are the small screws. There are those small screws on either side. And there are clips on the side over here and 2 hooks on the top section. So I can put the seat back on its feet and then it's ready to go back into the car. Though I did notice it's a bit dirty, so maybe I'll give it a quick clean before I install it to the car back again. So I'm back in my little workshop, actually a couple of days later, and I finished up polishing the transparent parts. Now there is a slight haze and some light scratches. I'm happy with how things look right now. In other good news, 2 packages came in. Here are the new microbulbs that I ordered, so I'm can install them. And also I received a package coming from Hong Kong. If you ever need it, I'll leave the link in the description box, and this contains the new LCD screen. Let me carefully pick it out of its packaging. It was very carefully packaged. It took me 5 minutes to unwrap it. But here's the new LCD screen for the climate control panel. So, gotta put it back in. Careful, careful. It's in a styrofoam box that came in, so it was very neatly packaged, and this cost me 73 euros including shipping. So this is expensive and it better work, but I must say I'm very pleased by the way this was packaged, and it took less than 2 weeks to arrive at my house. So let's see how things are constructed. This is the panel, and there is one that needs to come off, and it's directly behind this ribbon cable over here. That's the one that needs to come off. But first I want to apply power to the circuit board, at least power to the part that contains the lamps, so I can check which ones are working and which one aren't. And I believe only this one is broken, and I won't be replacing all the other lamps. In my experience, they should last the entire lifetime. It's rare that one of these lamps is broken. Anywho, let's go ahead and find out how the illumination works on this thingy. So yeah, there it is. I had planned to do a video on it, a tool review, but I've been too busy. Now it's in its warm-up cycle. You can set the temperature and the readout from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and basically this is your soldering iron, but the tip is hollow and there's a vacuum pump in this, and when you melt the solder, you push this knob, this pistol grip, and that's when it starts sucking the solder off. And well, this is a true life and time saver when you do a lot of desoldering, especially on these smaller parts like the engine ECU. So let's put you back up on your position. It may be a bit noisy in the background because I have my kerosene burner on and I need to run a fan, otherwise I would suffocate in here. And I did notice there was some condensation on this display too. It's currently -5°C, so it's freezing. And I really need a heater, but I also need to keep the moisture in here in check. Just put it over the tip. Now it's completely off. I can clean those tiny little holes on the circuit board. Yeah, that'll keep it down. So now for your viewing pleasure and my peace of mind, let's give this a test. See, this is the one I replaced, if it works. Oh, that's shorting out. Crap. Tiny wires. And my poor eyesight. There you have it. That's the radio done, ready to go back into the Lexus. Only thing I didn't do is find an antenna signal amplifier for the radio. I'm gonna look in a minute during my coffee break if I can find anything like that. So now comes the fun bit. There's the climate control panel. And now we're in for some fun. I never took one of those apart, I believe. So that's the circuit board. Look how nice this is made. There's a little beeper that says beep every time you push the button. Let's see if I can pry it loose from this side. Yeah, there it is. So, and there's the screen. You can see the black marks in here, just over the part where it's illuminated. So now yours truly has some precise soldering to do. All these pins need to come off. But before I do so, I'm going to compare my new LCD and this old one, just to be sure. So there is the new screen, and can you see it's transparent? Well, I'd say this is exactly the same. And there's a protective film on the back, I see. So let's leave that on. And now I have to desolder this. And it looks like that the background is formed by this white plastic part. So that explains why this glass itself just is transparent and has no background on it. So I'm almost done soldering. I checked with my multimeter for continuity, and then there are two traces that aren't connected, so I'm gonna resolder them. I had to do a repair over here, and I'm not gonna show you close up because it's not my neatest soldering anyway. But yeah, I just checked all the traces, and this is how the screen sits at this moment. I'm going to remove this once from this white plastic bracket, because there is a foil that I need to remove, and I left it on just to make sure things don't get damaged. There are protective foil on the front and on the back of this screen. Done! The next thing I need to do is install it in the car and see if the illumination and the display is working. And it's almost 7 p.m. right now, so yeah, I can make a quick run to the car, try my luck. What I am going to do is install everything back on its bracket. So if everything works fine, I just can put everything back in. So off to the Lexus. Okay, I'm at the car and I have everything installed. Unfortunately, it's not all good news. There are two things wrong. I have the illumination on. Oh, there are two things wrong. Not sure if it shows well on camera, but if you look on a clock, that's nice, clear and bright. The left part of the display shows, as you can see right now, all other numbers, and when you look straight on like the camera does now, it looks nice and clear, but from an angle it's a bit hard to read from my driving position. Now you can see it's set at 17.5, but it's not what I'm seeing. And when you look at the radio, this part of the display illumination stopped working. The RDS display is working. Let me see, all of the LEDs are working perfectly fine, yeah, as does the radio. Let's switch to tape, it doesn't work. To CD, you see the illumination change, but yeah, apparently I broke a couple of lamps in here, so I need to address that. So I'm gonna pull everything back out and start all over, sort of. Okay folks, the display and circuit board are out once again on my workbench, and I looked if I could find anything obvious wrong. Well, my soldering isn't neat, but since the clock is working, I figured this should work too. And basically these are two separate displays in one glass panel, and of course an LCD display, each segment has a power and needs to have a ground. These displays have a common ground, but not one common ground. The temperature has a common ground for all the segments, and the same goes for the clock. This one over here is the ground for the clock, and the one all the way at the left is a common ground for the temperature gauge. And I follow the trace, and this trace, starting from the segment, ends up all the way in this connector on the right. There's a green wire on this side on the left, and the pin on the right is the ground that should connect to here, but I didn't have continuity, and I found there was an interruption over here in this solder joint. Now I have this jumper cable installed, and now I have continuity from the ground pin all the way to the pin on the connector. So I hope that fixes my problem. Only way to find out is build everything back together and install it in the car. And next thing I need to do is repair the illumination of the radio LCD screen, but I'm going to do that off camera. So there is my camera gear, and I forgot the memory card, so I have to film this with my smartphone. Anyway, so it's currently Saturday the 9th of December, and the weather is super depressing outside. It's cold and grey, but I'm happy. Reason being, I received all the parts, all the electronic parts I needed to repair the radio, including the microbulbs, and I'll leave the link to those replacement bulbs in the description if you ever need to replace them in your LS 400 radio. And also I received the radio signal amplifier, so let's take a look inside the car and see what I have already done. So there's a little plastic crate I needed to sit on, my tools, and look, see this back in. It's really hard to get it in. You will scratch and damage your sill when you don't protect it like I did, so don't do as I do. Put something over here, a cloth or a towel or anything. So anyway, inside the car, this little box over here is the signal amplifier. The antenna cable goes in here, comes out here. It needs a 12-volt power supply, and I took that off. This is the plug that goes into the ashtray, and this is where I plugged it off. It's the pin cable on this connector. It's a 4-pin connector, and this is switched on, so only when you put a car ignition to on, it'll power this little box. Otherwise, if you leave it on, it will drain the battery. So let me put the key in. Oh no, look, now it's working. When I switch the key off, power goes off, so this doesn't drain the battery. It may mean that when the car is not running or not started, this box doesn't work, but I can live with that. Everything better than a drained battery. So there's the radio. It's fixed, I hope. Now it's also time to see if my fixed jumper cable will work on the temperature display. Really curious to see what this does. So I'm gonna put you aside and throw everything back in. Okay folks, now for a moment of truth. Let me see, put this on low. Why isn't that working? There it is. Yeah, it worked. Okay, let me put the lamp off, if it wants to. Look, now it's just as clear as the clock display. So no more vaguely visible elements of the LCD. So that works nice. Okay, now for the radio. See if everything works. Oh no, that's a disaster. It's way too little light. Crap! RDS display also isn't working, so something is wrong there. That also seems to affect that display. Bummer. Not sure what's going on here. Let me start the car for a moment. Or am I in park? Yeah. Also don't hear the beep, so radio reception is good. Well folks, it was a bit of a bummer. I thought I had fixed this LCD screen and it's working, but over a couple of minutes the temperature display starts to fade and disappear completely. But every time when I push a button or switch it on and off, it comes back to life. And strange thing is, the clock display is working correctly, so I have no idea what causes this. If any of you has any idea or any experience with this matter, please let me know down below in the comments. To what the radio is concerned, of course I already pulled it off, and I checked one of the new microbulbs I ordered, compared it with the one working microbulb that came out, and the bulbs that were in the radio were much brighter. So apparently something has gone wrong with my order, or maybe I overlooked something. But anyway, that's the cause, and I'll think of something to fix this matter. It may take a couple of weeks, because I notice it takes quite a while for electronic parts to arrive. On a positive note, the Lexus is inside and I fixed the seat, so I'll call that a win. This evening I'm going to head over to the car and put my dehumidifier in the car, because the carpet was a bit moist. But anyway, I wanted to get this video out, so I'll park it here and I'll let you know in the following episode if I have succeeded with the repairs of the climate control and the radio. For now, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope you liked following me along, and if you did, please leave a comment, give me a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help support the channel, you can do so by buying me a coffee. I'll leave the link down below in the description, and as I mentioned earlier in this episode, I'll also leave a link to all the parts that I've ordered. So if you want to try any of these repairs yourself, you know where to find the parts. But not the parts for the radio display illumination, because they were faulty. Anywho, thanks for watching and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!